Hello, everybody. This is Robert Hollis. I hope you're having a wonderful and blessed day. Thank you so much for tuning into my Periscope, and I really, truly appreciate the hearts. I really, really do. And also, if you scroll up and scroll sideways, you can share it with your followers, your Twitter followers, your Facebook followers. I'm a life mechanic, and I love teaching people how to be a life mechanic. I used to be an auto mechanic, got hurt, got put on workman's comp, lost everything I had, and thank God each and every day, which I do all day, is I ran into a mentor that's extremely successful, worth over $1 billion. I had two of them. Got to see one of them yesterday. And one of the uniquenesses about this profession is finding mentors that are just incredible. And they were able to share some stuff with me that I now get to share with the world. Well, how to be able to be happy and how to be mentally stable and how to be connected to your creator, great relationships, so on and so forth. So, and also financially. So you can check out things at lifemechanic.com in the replay of this blog, or this Periscope will show up on the blog section. So here we go. The title today is the power of success stories. Now, one of the things that I'm going to share with you, and you all know this already, do you realize virtually everything in the world is stories? It's just stories. Does anybody read books? Yeah, stories. Do we watch movies? Yeah, stories. Do we watch television? Stories. Some of us, do we watch the news? Stories. See, everything is stories. And it's the ability to be able to get excited, really excited, and share those stories is the difference between a good communicator and a so-so communicator. So one of the uniqueness that you've always seen, if you guys love stories, think about your favorite movie. Think about your favorite book. Think about your favorite TV program. When you see some of these things that are going out right now, some of the greatest sitcoms or whatever, you watch these things. It is amazing. It is flat out amazing how good people are at telling stories. And so I want each and every one of you to know that the beginning of my success was me just very simply getting excellent, not good, not great, excellent at telling and my mentor's story. Also, the people that he helped and their success stories. I did nothing but collect success stories about being an entrepreneur. At that time, I was collecting stories about successful people that my mentor had helped. And I realized just the other day, yesterday, yeah, I finally took some time off. And I loved it, but I watched NASCAR. NASCAR, their world champion was crowned yesterday, Kyle Busch. And one of the uniquenesses about NASCAR is they were just open and straightforward, talking about the four incredible stories of the four people that had a chance to win the Sprint Cup, the World Championship. And of course, one story, is Jeff Gordon. Here's Jeff Gordon, 23 years ago, that was just this young 20-year-old kid that got involved in NASCAR when everyone else was in their 40s. Everybody else was in their 50s. So we talked about the old people, the Richard Pettys, the Dale Earnhardt Seniors, the Dale Jarretts, all these guys, Darrell Waltrip, on and on and on and on and on and on, and we had all these guys that were, old. You are 40 and 50 and 60 years old when you race NASCAR. So here comes this young kid, and the whole story about, his stepfather, found out the state, listen to this, found out the state that would allow a person under 16 years of age to drive. And he took his stepson to Indianapolis, Indiana, and that's where he could sign as a parent, and his mom could sign. And bingo, there you go. So by the time Jeff Gordon got to NASCAR when he was 20 years old, this kid had already had 14 years of experience. 14 years of experience when he finally got to NASCAR. So you guys know that Richard Petty left, and guess what? The story went on about, Jeff Gordon having 93 wins. I think it's 700 or 900, starts that he's had, 797 or something like that, of starts that he's had consecutively without missing one. And, so here he is in his championship. It's his last year. He's retiring. And all the stuff that he's done for the industry. So it was just amazing that he had a chance to win his 5th world championship. So, that was one story. Another story, of course, was, this guy, Martin Truex Jr. Here's a guy that's like the underdog story. Isn't it amazing how we have underdog stories? And people talk about the underdog. And, here's this guy that got into NASCAR, and he's the only one-car team that's from Denver, Colorado, and they hardly have any money. And it's like, he's got a chance to win it. And then you got this other person, which was Kevin Harvick. And Kevin Harvick was the guy that, listen to this one. Oh, this was not a really popular subject when I spoke at GoPro with Eric Worre, not this year, the year before, a year ago in November. And the story was, here he was, Kevin Harvick with Richard Childress Racing. And I think he was there for 13 or 14 years. And he left there and went over to Newman Haas, and he won a world championship. So, to think that he stuck around with one group for that long, and when he went to a new one, bingo. Thank you very much. Tap for the hearts. I appreciate that, Sherry. And then all of a sudden, he won the world championship last year, and now he's got a chance to be one of 10 drivers that win back-to-back. So, he gets in there again. And then the person that won the world championship, a guy named Kyle Busch. Now, this is an incredible story because his brother, Kurt Busch, had already won a world championship. So how would you like to be the parents of one of your sons winning a world championship, and now your other son's going for the world championship? Pretty amazing story. I wonder how supportive that mother and father was. I wonder what they did to really, really get both sons in a mental place that they not only could be professional race car drivers, but championship drivers, winning drivers, and then world championships. Wow, that's got to be quite the inspirational story. But at the beginning of this year, Kyle Busch got in a wreck, and he broke his leg and shattered his foot on the other side. So broke his leg on one side, shattered his foot on the other side, and listen to this. Missed 11 races, missed over 30% of the NASCAR races. And he rehabilitates himself. He gets married. They had a child during that time. His wife and him had a lot of trouble with his wife getting pregnant. All of a sudden, they got this beautiful son there. He goes through rehab. And then all of a sudden, he comes back to NASCAR. And they're going, listen, you got to win races. You got to win races. You got to get a lot of points to be able to get in this championship. He not only pulled it off, made it through all the challenges, but then guess what? Last night, he won the world championship. Now, it was also the first for a funny company called Toyota. So it was the first time that Toyota won the world championship in the United States of America against Chevys and Fords. Oh, by the way, Chrysler's no longer there. And so, amazing story. So, one of the things I want you to understand is how good are you at telling stories? How interested are you in people's stories? Because I did one of the periscopes not too long ago, is who is your role model? Who is your role model? And do they inspire you? And I said in there, man, I watch and look and read and find and seek and attract success stories all day long. That's what keeps me up and flying. That's what keeps me going. I love listening to success stories of every kind. And so moving forward with the power of success stories, let me give you a few of them that are really, really good about what you should be doing. Okay, so for me, going from auto mechanic to life mechanic, here's some really good thoughts about this. I want to share some really good stories with you. The first one is, I don't know if you've heard of this guy named John Green. All right. So if you guys went to John Green Books, and he spells his name, I want to make sure to get this right. John, Green. Okay. So Green books.com. Sorry for leaning over. All right. So if you look at this guy, you know, he's a nerd, and he puts this group together called the Nerd Fighters, right? And him and his brother goes out there and they start doing this vlog, vlog, okay? And so when you go to that, you know, johngreenbooks.com, that's a blog. Look how simple it is. Look how easy it is, right? And so all of a sudden he goes out and he writes a book called Looking for Alaska. And he writes this book, and, you know, nothing really comes about it. No one knows anything about it. And then he starts putting his blog together. Well, if you guys want to know, when you go to Vlog Brothers, it's VLOG Brothers is the YouTube, right? And you can find that on his deal. Him and his brother started doing rants, just total rants of, you know, videos, right? And they come from geeks, so you know how people are bullies and they pick on people. Well, these guys were all about, you know, the nerd fighters. You know what I mean? That these guys all pull together and they're nerds. You know, they're geeks and they're nerd fighters, right? And so listen to this. They start building a following. Every one of you have the ability to tell stories, and you have a voice to tell stories about your life, what's happened to you, your difficulties. You got the best to tell, you know, other people's stories. So let me continue with John Green's story and see if you like this. So he's always wanted to be an author, and he writes books, and no one wants anything to do with him, right? So he puts together these videos, right? These rants. And they got, listen to this, 2.681 million. 2.6 million subscribers on his YouTube. I say it again. 2.6 million people that are subscribers on his YouTube channel. And they have 574 million views. How can you guys find this out? You can find this out by going to anyone's YouTube channel and clicking on About. And when you click on About, it's going to say the numbers of subscribers they have. And you're going to see. So he just started doing rants and supporting everything that had to do with people being bullied or feeling isolated or lonely or depressed. If you were a geek, just if you're a geek, right? So now he builds his following of people that get to know, like, and trust him. And as he builds his following, he writes another book. And when he writes another book, this time the book is called The Fault in Our Stars. The Fault in Our Stars. And when he launches the book, no one knows who John Green is. No one knows about this guy except his fans. No one knows about him except his fans, the people that he's serving, the people that he's giving to, the people that he's constantly going into. So it's the vault. It looks like an F. It looks like an F, Carrie. I'll click on it. Yeah, it's The Fault in Our Stars, okay? Fault, Fault of Our Stars. So when he writes this book, guess what happens to the book? It goes to #1 in every list. #1 in every list. It goes to #1 on the New York Times bestseller list. Listen to this story, please. Very important. It went to number one. It sold all those copies without him ever getting a publisher to say hello. Not one publisher accepted him, but he was able to sell hundreds of thousands and millions of books to the people that already liked him. So some of you are like, you gotta give. You gotta get the people that know, like, and trust you. You gotta build that. So then when the book goes to number one, he was able to sign the rights to a publisher, one of those big, Schuster and Simon, and they came to him, and he didn't sell the digital rights because he already owned the digital rights. And so I remember watching this when I found out about him. It was a thing called, his name is Osgood. I'm trying to think, but he does Sunday morning news, I think it. But it's a positive. I found it, watched his story on there. I love success stories. I told you. And so, and they showed all these people that were waiting for him to sign a copy of their book. And what was amazing is they walked up to this guy, Charles Osgood. Thank you very much. And you probably could go on Sunday morning, whatever, and look for John Green's story, right? And they talked to a kid that was there, right? And you could tell the guy looked like a geek, pocket protector, glasses, everything. And he goes, "Why are you waiting in line? This line is going to take for hours before you get to this guy." And he lifts up his arm, and he had a tattoo that said Nerd Fighter. And he said, "Man, what John and his brother has done for me, I'm one of those guys that I'm alone. I'm always like behind a computer. I'm sort of a bookworm. I don't have a lot of friends. I don't like sports. And I'm sort of introverted. And these guys say that I'm special." And the guy's like emotionally crying because someone reached out to him and said, "You're special, you're good, you're okay." So every one of you got a story about somebody else that needs encouragement, that needs to be inspired, that needs hope. So now guess what? Not only did he do well there, then Hollywood come calling. So then Hollywood does a movie about his book. And bingo, that goes crazy. So each and every one of you need to understand that you got to be good at telling stories. And one of the uniquenesses about that is I heard on his blog just recently, I don't know, I can click back on here, but he just did, I guess there's another one called Paper Towns. Paper Towns, Towns. But I guess now he's, they're doing another movie. So, this guy went from nobody knowing him and his brother, to serving the world and encouraging the world. And let me just say it, geeks from the Dork Forest. And he found a way to service other people and share his voice with the world. That built his customer base, loyal followers of subscribers and people. And then when he launched whatever he had, because people knew, like, and trust him, they went out and that's what happened. So let's talk about another guy. I posted his deal today on my Facebook wall. Gary Vaynerchuk, Vaynerchuk. Now, here's another guy that, he did his story on the video. So you got to go check it out, because he said once he became successful, he did his first video and he worked for his father. He worked for his father and his uncle and they at a liquor store. They sold wine. And he says, "I worked every day from the time that I was 15 to 30. I did my first video at the age of 30. And it was called the Wine Library." Well, when his father decided to pass the business down to him, bingo, he turns around and starts doing funny videos about recommending certain wine, or doing reviews of wine on Facebook. Now, everyone laughed at him. Everybody was like, what are you talking about? You're too young. You don't know what you're talking about. He now has 128,000 subscribers, and he's got 11.9 million views. So not only did he take his dad's little business, which supported the family, but then it went and did $20 and $30 million a year in volume. But now he's got a group of people that are following him. Are you hearing a certain a sequence here? You know what I mean? And so all he was doing was funny. It was called the Wine Library. And you know what? I bet you he's got a different channel that's on the Wine Library that probably has way more. This is probably a newer YouTube subscriber. So Gary goes out there and then he writes a book called Crush It, because he took a little business from little to big. Then after he went out there and wrote the book Crush It, it went to #1 on the bestsellers list. So then everybody wants to know, well, what do you do? Wow, you're excited. You really are doing well. And a guy that you might know of, named Eric Worre. I don't know if you guys have heard of this guy. It's called networkmarketingpro.com. I'm sort of making a joke here a little bit. But, all of a sudden, Eric Worre reaches out to Gary Vaynerchuk, pays him $10,000. Some people go out there and get mentors. And he decided to do that with network marketing. Do you guys find this story pretty interesting here? So then all of a sudden, he teaches. Gonna go over there. I thought I had that video up. I apologize. All right, so I'm going to Eric Worre's YouTube channel, and I'm clicking on his channel. Now I'm clicking to About, and now that I click on About, he's got 70,000 subscribers. So what about not almost over half? Gary Vaynerchuk has 128,000. He's got 70,000 subscribers. Eric Worre does, and 7.9 million views. So people are like, wow, I want to build a brand. I want to build a brand. I want to get a bunch of people to follow me. I want, people to do that, and it's like, and everybody's going like, great. So, what are you doing? What are you offering? Are you telling people stories? No. I'll find another time to do that. I don't know when I'm going to do that, but I'll find another time to do it. So it's amazing that Eric Worre goes out there on the speaking side. And then guess what? Gets people like me and Tony Robbins and Les Brown and Bob Proctor and all these guys, you know what I mean, to speak on his stage. And his business just continues to grow and grow and grow and grow. And so you got to find a way that people are like, well, I don't know. So if you're going to build a relationship with people, you got to get good at telling stories. You got to get really, really good at telling stories. So when people go, I don't know if this is going to work for me. Story. You got to tell somebody's success story. So now, if you're in the direct selling world, you got to get a whole group of direct selling stories. Network marketing, whatever you want to call it, MLM. You got to get those success stories. You got to know them in your heart. And by telling the story over and over again, you're going to get to love the story. You're going to know the story. You're going to believe that if those stories will work for them, they'll also work for you. Does that make sense? Because I know that people get so much into talking about the facts and the facts about the products and the ingredients about the product, the facts about the compensation plan, the facts about the profession in the industry, the facts about the company and what they do in sales and all of that stuff. Guess what? Facts tell, stories sell. And so if you guys watch me, ladies and gentlemen, I can't wait to tell a success story because it excites me. It inspires me. It gives me hope. So when I watch Gary Vaynerchuk's video and it says, hey, everybody says I'm an instant success, and guess what? I'm not. I've been building a group of loyal, satisfied customers, and I do it all day, every day. That's what I do. And it's like, I just think it's so crazy that people want success in their life, and every day they don't get up trying to figure out how to share another excited story with someone. You know what I mean? So I'm sharing, people's stories all the time. I'm sharing Robert Hollis Jr.'s story. I'm sharing, Matthew Hollis's story. I'm sharing Bill Ebert's story. I'm sharing, a Hannah Ebert story when she was 17 years old. You know what I mean? And now she's married to my son. They just had a year anniversary. They make, $80-some thousand a year. Of course, Scott, Melody's story, your story. I'm there, Mary Ellen's story. I'm sharing people's stories all day long. And when people ask me questions, I go, wow, that's a great question. All I know is story. All I know is story. So I get to tell, stories about the 7 people that now own their own marketing companies because I found them online and I worked with them. So, Tony and Mike Kupas, you know what I mean, of ACN, or Armand Peugeot, which was my number 46 person that makes over. I heard today, my wife was telling me that Armand will probably make over $10 million this year. And to think I'm going to make sure that I get him on an interview really soon. But, it's amazing that I fed into this guy and helped him. Of course, he put in the effort and believed into himself, but, made over $5 million last year. Probably will make over $10 million. And, I got people like David Rutz, and I got, Kyle Freeman and Nick Cernicola, from Visalis, and Armand, Andrew, I'm sorry, Maronian, mylife.net. I mean, there's all these guys, Timothy Watucky, and my mind was just fading for a second, but it's like all these people that, you get to tell, and that's the cool thing. So when you first get in, you get extremely, you got to practice on getting extremely passionate and enthusiasm about sharing other people's stories. Then one day, you get to share your story. Then you made it when you're telling people stories that are people that you've had an impact in. And ladies and gentlemen, I wish that there were multiple ways of doing this. And I don't want to get on, any spiritual tangent right now. But I seen the, and I hope that you guys see the light humor in this. But it actually showed a UFO with like 2 aliens or 2 Martians in it, right? And they were looking at the United States, the world. And you could see all these, bombs going off all over the world. And one of the Martians looked at the other one and said, why are they destroying themselves? And the other Martian said, they're fighting over which religion is better. And I'm like, wow. Why would somebody fight to the death? Why would they fight to the death? Why would they travel all over the world and leave their families and to go out and either kill other people or take care of other people? Because they believe in their story. Someone sold them on a story, and they are willing to die for that story. They will do everything in their power to tell that story, convince people to do that story, to do everything they can. And I want you to ask yourself this question in the closing of this Periscope. A couple of Periscopes ago, I asked, who was your role model? And what role model do you have where you can mirror and match them, and also that inspires you? All right? So that's one question that I want you to ask yourself. Next one is, if someone told you to tell them a story, if we were all in a room and I said, you know what, tell me a story. This is your Shark Tank story. So we got two stories, right? One is, I want you to sell me on somebody else's story. No, I don't want you to sell me. I want you to share a story of maybe, I don't know, someone in your family, maybe a pastor, maybe your son or daughter, maybe your spouse. But do you really have a story that if you were challenged, that you could tell a story? Maybe it is a spiritual story. But the reason why people are so lost in this world, the reason that people have lost hope, the reason that they have lost inspiration, the reason that they're depressed, the reason that they don't believe in them and what they can do, is because they are not listening to other people's stories that have done it. You can't listen to a person's story over and over and over and over again, and other people's stories of different ages, different backgrounds, different spiritual beliefs, different disabilities. You know what I mean? You can't listen to all these success stories and not be amped up. I remember years ago, someone said, if you ever want to remember someone's name, all you got to do is say their name 3 times. So hi, Jeanette, how you doing? Great. Well, listen, Jeanette, tell me a little bit about your family. Well, Jeanette, what do you do? Great, Jeanette. See, I want to say the person's name as many times as I can so that I remember it. Well, then I heard, well, listen, you want to remember a joke? Has anybody ever told you a joke? Yeah. Well, I don't remember jokes. I don't remember names. Great. Keep saying that, and it'll probably never change. Duh. People are like, I still don't got my I am statements. You know what I mean? But I am not good at this, and I'm not good at names, and I'm not good at relationships. Man, wow, you need to find something else to do, right? All right. So anyway, going back to the subject at hand, if you want to get good at telling a joke, they say as soon as you hear the joke, you need to tell it to 3 people. Tell the joke to 3 people. Not tomorrow, not later this afternoon. Right now. So call somebody. Hey, how you been? Great. How's the family? Awesome. Listen, the reason I called you is I wanted to share this joke with you. This joke is funny. And if you do that, you're going to learn the joke. How many times do you think a person has to learn a story before they sell it? And if you don't keep doing it, you forget it. Don't you? And if you're not good at telling the story, then it's not very good. How many people on this Periscope can name all the reindeers? What are all the reindeers' names? We're coming up on Christmas. How many people remember when we're in school? We're coming up on Thanksgiving in the United States. What were the name of the ships that landed? So Columbus discovered America. Where did he land? What were the name of the ships? I don't know. I remember when we sung the song that, like you said, everybody knew it when I had to memorize it because it was coming up on a test and I wanted to pass the test. Which, by the way, I think there were people here before Columbus came. So I I don't know how he discovered a place where everybody was already here. That'd be like me going to Mexico and saying, listen, Robert Hollis discovered Mexico. No, wait a minute. People are already there. Look at, some people probably Googled. You got some people on here. Hey, the Nina Pita de Santa Maria. You know what, Lori? You probably did know that. I'll take that back. So, yeah, we got Google now. You know, so if you don't know, it's like, wow, I used to remember. How many people remember not only knowing the 50 states, but also knowing the capital? The capital of every state. So you got to get good at telling people stories. And you know what we do? We don't get good at telling people stories. So then what we do is we start going back to the facts. We start talking about the ingredients. We start talking about, you know, all the things that don't matter. See, stories leave an impact. If you could tell a story that touches a person on an emotional level, then that story seems to resonate. It seems to stay with you. I think I heard something the other day, and I'm probably going to mess this up. No, I'm going to get it right. See, I'm going to get this right, and I'm going to get very close so everybody understands, all right? But the subject is, if you tell somebody something, then they may or may not remember it. But then if you show them how to do something, they may get it. But if you continue to show them how to do it, and you do it with passion and emotion, they'll always remember how you made them feel. They're not going to remember what you told them, but they're going to remember what you did and how you made them feel. My question to you in closing up this Periscope, do you think by me knowing the little thing you may know about me, and this might be your first Periscope, and you can go check out lifemechanic.com and click on the blog link, and you know, you might be inspired, but for people that know me, do I tell you stuff, or do you remember stuff that I did, and do I touch you on an emotional level? Do I make you feel different? You need to ask yourself, do you go out of your way to make people feel different? Do you do things that they remember? And here's the sad thing, ladies and gentlemen, people don't remember very long. They don't remember very long. So you got to do things that stick in their memory, that touched them on an emotional level, and nothing, I repeat, nothing does that better than telling a story. In fact, in closing, songs, the best songs in the world, have stories in them, don't they? So ask yourself, when you get off the phone with somebody, or you get off texting with someone, or you get off hangout with somebody, did you touch them on an emotional level? Or did you just talk to them? That's an interesting thing. Thank you, Harmony. I remember where I met you too. So check out lifemechanic.com. Thanks to each and every one of you for the wonderful hearts. I really, really appreciate you. You know, I almost positive I got the subject for tomorrow unless something else changes. But here's the question, just to give it out to you. Why do people go to your university? Why do people go to school? Why do people go to continued education? Why? I want to know why people take the time to go to colleges, universities. Why do they go through all this time? Why do they go through all this money? Why do they go through all this sacrifice? Why? And guess what? We'll talk about it tomorrow. So anyway, take care. God bless. I love each and every one of you. Again, thanks for the hearts. Thanks for the shares. We'll see you tomorrow. Check it out, replay on lifemechanic.com. Bye-bye.